Why don't I start with detail first? Like what, you know, they say start big to small. So what if this is my little play right now first? What, you know, what if I feel like I want to present the smallest shapes? But that's a big no-no, right? Like this is not going to even show up later. But I'm bringing this to you because I'm thinking it's expressive. I want to get into the rhythm of this piece. And, you know, and right now it's abstraction. It's not anything to do with landscape. And I will get into that zone of landscape and build towards that, hopefully feeling some part of the outdoors here. The colors they're very, you know, I've seen these colors on icicles and things. So yeah, what if we're using a small brush? It's not gonna help us that much. So you can see it doesn't carry very much paint, and in the end, this is not going to be very helpful. So you can see why, generally speaking, you can still wipe away a little bit of acrylic if it's wet enough. Right, you can soften some edges. And start again. So let's get some big shapes happening. I really like Persian Blue. Oh, that was Jenkins Green. That's interesting. I didn't even know what it was. It looked so dark. Really nice deep green. So that would be great for if it was a tree underneath some of that evergreen. Add a bit of raw umber to it, make it even darker. Let's see what that does. A bit of blue. Okay, so I've just put a little bit of different paint on here, so it's got lots of paint. Now I have to be careful where I put this dark. I don't want to go right in the middle, and I'm going to shape something interesting with this dark.
Why not the middle? It's going to recede, right?
Yeah, it could, but anytime I put something strong in the middle, it'll cause me to have to work with that. So we don't want anything too substantial in the middle. So I'm often working on one area for a while.
So it's the strength of the color, not the value that you're.
Yes, the value, both, right? This is both dark and strong color.
Right.
So we'll see, but it's muted color. It's all dark. So let's see if it's a cliff. It could be a cliff with icicles. So I have to be careful what this shape will be, but I want it to be organic like the outdoors. And gee, it's already dry. I don't even have enough. Look at that texture it's giving me. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I'm going to work with that. I was surprised by what this brush actually gave me. So I'm trying to keep a variation of intervals here. Oh, I love purple, so I just. So here's a repetition. This is getting a little bit really loose, but it's going to be hard to work with. So sometimes taking a scrape right through it. You know, these palettes work well. So, you know, I can, what time do we have?
Oh, I'll check.
30 minutes.
Oh, really? I only have 7 minutes?
30.
13?
30.
You've only used up 7.
30.
I should start a new thing with just shading in 15 minutes. Yeah. So other things could be more purposeful. Like it looks like initially you might as well just throw paint anywhere just for the fun of it if you want to try that expressive thing. But what happens is we tend to organize, and we tend to even, I don't know if you've seen trees in the landscape and they're all lined up equally, right? So again, that interval concept, no two intervals should be the same, is what you start then to try to think about as you move through to make it work. So it's not overly repetitive. I guess that's where flatness, when artists do employ the flatness of color and shape, you know, like even those, remember those orange shadowbolt strokes that were repetition strokes? You just shifted that orange into warm and cool muted tones, brighter, darker, and it played out depth on a 2D surface really beautifully. So that's the other thing, how much depth do I want to put in here? And I would just keep building it back. So if I have that red and make it darker, so I can go darker. And I'd have to get more paint. I'm running out of paint here. Let's see, I'm sort of using those little squares, right? As a theme. what I want to get away from though is sort of using everything I've seen in that book perhaps and putting it all on one piece. You want to simplify, and that's a hard thing for any artist. So this is where a mirror comes in, and if I look, I can see from 20 feet back. The mirror allows me to sort of be as if I stood back, and I can also see little sections. So this is interesting, but it's nowhere else. So either I play on that more, the little squiggles, right? I don't know what they are. But they could override. Texture can be quite something to catch the eye, and you have to be careful what it's doing. Because I guess it could be little grasses. What I like about line though, like Anne Kipling again, really inspired me because you can't just do an interesting line if you haven't done it over and over again. We tend to do the same things. I love this muted color. Isn't that nice? It's just it's a warm. Because I put it's a mixture of the three, right? Right. Those were the primaries I mixed. Look how beautiful you can make these muted tones out of those. Now, I know that some artists have called it calligraphy, right? So, I guess if you're rendering something quite specific and then you add the calligraphy with it, is it conducive to the piece? Is it helping it or not? I guess there is that term, that question, whether the marks are adding or taking away. But because it's an expressive piece, I'm not too concerned about that. I want it to have interest, but then you have to decide on what to leave and what to take away. So I just may take that. Let's see. So the snow is here. So that's almost negative penny cutout stuff. That could be a little more deliberate. So there this. And sometimes it's really good if people see something that's out of whack. They're like, oh, it's too strong in that. Go ahead and let me know. But right now I like this texture over here. And the difficulty is that this was strong as a shape, as a no 10 shape, value shape. And now I'm adding detail here, so they're both equally weighted. That could be a problem. I'm back out here, ready to paint outdoors in the late fall as the salmon are coming up the creek and doing their last little effort here in their life cycle. And in the life cycle of a painting, there's a lot that goes on before we start painting and being inspired, taking a walk through the areas that we enjoy, and hopefully